Hey there, sports fans. Mike Crook coming at you with another episode of Laces Out. This is going to be a really quick and simple one because we're really only going to be talking about the college football championship game pitting Miami and Indiana and where we're sitting at with the divisional round of the NFL playoffs. So stay tuned. All right, first things first. Indiana, Miami, college football D1 FBS national championship game. It's a mouthful, right? As a Florida State fan, I hate that Miami has won a college football playoff game before Florida State has. Not only that, they're actually in the Natty, and they're in the Natty in their home stadium. Like this, so many things. Don't like it. But it is what it is, right? So, Indiana, Miami. Miami, honestly, they had a really close game against Ole Miss. It could have gone either way. And unfortunately, the Rebs did not have just enough gas in the tank to get over that hurdle and get that win against Miami. Just Carson Beck and company just were always able to find an answer late in that game and pull away to get the win. So, I hate to say it, but congrats to Miami for doing that. Wasn't my pick, but here we are. Indiana, though, you've got the Heisman-winning quarterback. Like Fernando Mendoza, this dude is unreal. He is unreal. And the way that they were able to just run roughshod over Oregon, I love seeing that because I'm not a huge Oregon fan. I'm still salty about that loss that they gave Florida State back in the very first year of the college football playoffs. Back in 2014. That sucked so much. So was I happy to see Oregon lose? Absolutely. Do I want to see Miami win this one? Hell no. I'm not just because they're an ACC team, I don't care. It's Miami. I want to see Indiana just blow the barn doors off of this one. Just annihilate Miami. I don't care if it's 100-0. Still too close of a game. But no, seriously. I am pulling for Indiana to win this one. I think that they do have everything top to bottom on this roster, and they're looking to be like the Cinderella story. They've never won a Natty, or at least in the modern college football era. They may have won one way back when, but Miami has way too many. Way too many. And yeah, they haven't won one since 2001 or something like that. I don't care. Let Indiana have some fun. Back in the Hoosiers, 100%. Go Indiana, destroy the Canes. You down. All right, next up. The Wildcard Round of the NFL is in the books. And wow, those were some electric games, not gonna lie. So many lead changes, so many upsets that were possible. Like Carolina, you gave the Rams everything they could handle. I was like, what the hell? They could actually pull off the upset, but kudos to Matt Stafford and company. Buckled down when he had to. Got the dub. Moving on to the divisional round. And for Trey, my boy, I'm sorry. That was a really close game last night against the Texans. Honestly, 7-6 at that point. I'm not going to do the 6-7 bullshit. But 7-6 Houston. And I don't know. Just something happened. They kind of fell apart after they got that field goal to go ahead 10-6. But things just kind of derailed for the Steelers at that point. Not sure what, but all of a sudden Houston's defense just stepped it up, threw it into a higher gear, and just turnovers, interceptions, fumbles. What the hell? My wife and I, we were not actually actively watching the game on the TV, but I had it going on my phone. It seemed like every time I looked down, holy crap, Houston's in scoring position again. They turned over the ball again. Have the Steelers even held on to this thing in the fourth quarter? But sorry to say, Trey, you guys were one and done in the playoffs. Does that mean Tomlin's, coaching job is in jeopardy? They're now 3-10 in the playoffs under Tomlin. And I think it's now a 7-game losing streak in the playoffs. That has to say that something's got to give at this point. How much longer can Mike Tomlin survive as the Steelers head coach? I know a lot of Steeler Nation wants him out, Trey included. But he's a great guy. As a person, he is a great guy. but he might not be the answer for Pittsburgh moving forward. So we'll see what happens for him in the offseason, or honestly in the next few days. They could have a meeting with the GM, ownership group, whatever, and decide that it's time to part ways. But if that's the case, who would you bring on as Pittsburgh's new head coach? Leave a comment down below. I'd love to hear what you think. But now let's move on to the prediction portion of our episode, where we predict who we believe is going to win the divisional rounds of each of the 4 matchups. And right now I can say of our brackets, we had 2 brackets currently in our bracket challenge. One of them is still perfect. We have called all of the games so far. There were some close ones, obviously, but we are still perfect, and we'd like to remain perfect after this weekend. So we're going to be sticking who we actually have in our main bracket through the rest of the playoffs. So even though the Broncos are actually the first game slated to play for the divisional round, we're going to talk about them last. So first up, we're going to talk about Saturday's matchup between the Seahawks and the 49ers. Obviously, a rematch of the deciding game for the number 1 seed, the NFC West title, all that stuff. And you know what? The Niners played a really tough game against the Eagles. Like, a lot of people picked the Eagles to win that game. Not us. We thought the 49ers had something in them. We still think the 49ers have something left in the tank. But we also think that the Seahawks defense has way more weapons to use. And not going to lie, this one actually could be a slight barn burner. It honestly could be similar to the Texans-Steelers game, where it's a close game, third quarter, and then just something breaks loose, and then everything goes the wrong way for San Francisco. So I'm calling it right now, Seattle over San Fran, 14 points or more by the time the final whistle blows. All right, next up, Patriots hosting the Texans Sunday afternoon. This one is going to be a really interesting contest because you have Drake May, sophomore quarterback, taking a very elite New England team, Stephon Diggs and company, against an insane defense from the Texans. Like, this defense is just unbelievably stout. Steelers know that firsthand from last night's game. And honestly, I don't think that they have what it takes to top New England. I think that New England has a lot more weapons than the Steelers had, and New England's going to find a way to win this one. Drake May is going to pull out some insane magic as a sophomore quarterback, and the Patriots are going to just squeeze by with a very close win in this one, 4 points or less over the visiting Texans. Next up, the LA Rams traveling to Chicago to take on the Bears. Matthew Stafford, Caleb Williams. Like, this is going to be a fun matchup. Honestly, I can see this one being a shootout. Not going to lie. I can see 30-plus points put up by either team, and it's going to come down to whoever has the ball last is going to be in a clutch position for a game-winning field goal. So that's right. I'm calling it 3 points or less because it is going to be coming down to a game-winning field goal, but a very high-scoring, very offensively driven game. Like, literally 30, 35 points plus for each team. But give me the Rams in this one, upsetting the Bears and punching their ticket to the NFC Championship. Lastly, the number 1 seed in the AFC, Denver Broncos, taking on the Buffalo Bills. This is literally a rematch from the Wildcard Round last year, where Denver traveled to Buffalo and got handed a very demoralizing, I believe it was 31-7 loss at the hands of Josh Allen and company. But we also had a rookie QB, we had a very young squad, and the Denver Broncos, I believe, they were just happy to be invited to the party at that point. They had to win against a Kansas City Chiefs team that sat a majority of their starters because they knew they had the number 1 seed locked up. So Denver was almost guaranteed a win. They didn't have to try hard, but they still needed that win to punch their ticket into the AFC wildcard round. Different story this year. Denver is now controlling home field advantage, and that was one of the things that Sean Payton said in his presser after last year's game is, we have to find a way to get these games at home. Goal accomplished. You have the number 1 seed in the AFC. You have home field advantage all the way up to the Super Bowl. What are you going to do with it? Denver's defense is going to be insanely good, assuming that they don't target Riley Moss way too much, because let's be real, that kid is responsible for so many DPIs. Some are, yes, his fault. Some are just grossly miscalled. But I can honestly see not a lot of balls being thrown PS2's way, a lot of balls going Riley Moss's way, just because of that chance that those long balls are going to wind up with a DPI on Denver and set up Buffalo in great field position. So we've really got to put pressure on Josh Allen. Don't give him the opportunity to get those balls down the field. On the flip side, there's been slight rumors that J.K. Dobbins might be back. I'm not holding my breath on that one. I think the running game is still going to fall on the shoulders of Harvey, and we're going to need guys like Sutton has got to step up. They're going to have to mix up their coverages, mix up their passing lanes, the schemes and things like that on offense to give Bo Nix the opportunity to throw those short to intermediate passes, because I think that is going to be the key to the passing game in this one. Short to intermediate passes. Don't rely on the long ball too much. Maybe on the off chance that you've set up for the long ball, but don't live and die by the Hail Mary, those 30-plus yard balls. Literally, the 5 to 15-yard passes is where it's going to be for this game. And for the prediction, Denver Broncos. All the way, baby. I can see Denver actually pulling ahead with a late drive, getting a 7-point or less victory on this one. It's going to be close. It's going to be entertaining as hell. And it's going to be a really great way to kick off the divisional round this weekend. So Saturday afternoon, the party's in Mile High. All right, folks, there you have it. Another episode of Laces Out is officially in the books. If you like the content, like the video, subscribe to the channel, all the good algorithm things that appease the social media gods. We greatly appreciate all the love and support you guys show us throughout the years. And make sure to hit that bell notification so that way you are notified whenever new content is dropped. Again, we try to drop content once a week. Also, be on the lookout for a new type of content that we're going to be dropping on the channel, mainly centered around basketball. We're thinking about calling it Fast Break, something of that nature, where it's literally just a very quick snippet, possibly even short-form content centered on college and pro-level basketball. So stay tuned for that one. We'll have more coming up on that one probably in the next month or so as the NFL season winds down. But who knows? Maybe we'll pick up UFL. We might talk about UFL in the offseason when there's no college or pro ball to talk about. So who knows? We'll see where life takes us. But either way, thank you again. And until next week, take care.